You know who I am. I am Jim Vaglica, God damn it, and I'm from American Grit. This is my behind the scenes after action report. Obviously, you know the finale is over. If you didn't watch the finale, I'm here to tell you that I won and I kicked ass so bad that they gave me the entire million and I'm hosting season 2. Anyway, so let's get on to all these questions that people have been hammering me on. You know, what's this like and what's that and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to try and cover everything really quick. So here we go. Let me start with typical day. That's a good place to start. Typical day. Let's wake up. Okay, so yes, we do sleep at base camp, and so security would wake us up. Security would wake us up generally between 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Still dark out, and this security guy had been working overnight because they never let the cast be alone. It's a liability thing. They've always got a security dude walking the exterior, and he walks through the interior of base camp. He's looking for fires or any kind of emergencies, whatever. So he wakes us up in the morning. Audio guys get there first about 6:30, and they mic everyone up. The camera crew and producers show up around 7. So now we've got probably a dozen crew members in the house. And we do what's called morning reality. So basically they just shoot us living, having breakfast, making breakfast, getting ready for whatever the day's gonna bring. We're going to probably do interviews in the morning. They're called on the flies or OTFs. And probably every cast member is going to do one. They generally take between 20 minutes and an hour. And they might be set up in your room. They might be on the back deck. They might be out in the woods nearby. And it's probably going to be cameraman, audio, producer. He's behind the camera. He asks you questions. What's happening today? What you think about yesterday? And that's where they get all the interview bites that they need. Most days the cadre would show up at some point, and we would do maybe team building, or we would do team interviews, just talk about, you know, what's going to happen today, what we think about, you know, what happened yesterday, that type of stuff. It's a rarity if Cena shows up, but he might show up once a day at base camp, maybe not. Let me see now. All right, so the schedule, typical shooting schedule, takes 3 days to shoot one episode. Day 1 is the evolution. Day 2 is choosing circus. Day 3 is circus. Then we do it all over again. And then we're scheduled 1 day off. If there's an interruption, if we couldn't do something because of weather or any other kind of problems, then we would just roll and we would miss the day off. Okay, generally after breakfast, after interviews, it's about late morning, we would get in the vans and we would go to whatever we were doing that day. The vans were a huge part of our days. We spent hours in the vans. We generally had 2 vans, like 16 passenger white window vans. Nothing special about them. Towards the beginning of the season, when there was a lot of us, we would have a guy's van, girls' van. Then as cast members dropped off, We would just all pile into one. We would generally have lunch in the van, which was like literally a box lunch they would bring in, and we would eat in the vans. We would nap in the vans. We would sometimes change clothes in the vans. We did a lot of get to knowing each other in the vans, a lot of talk, joking, storytelling, anything to pass the time, because we spent hours in the vans. We hated it. Let me see. Oh, sometimes if we were at an evolution where we were going to get like completely soaked or muddy, we'd come back to the van and all the interior would be covered in plastic. We would generally do another OTF interview later in the day, maybe that evening. You can pretty much bet on 2 interviews every day. Our evenings, our days would end at generally 9 o'clock, when they would take our mics back and pack up everything and leave base camp, and then that was just our time to do whatever we wanted. We had like some board games that we would play, but by then we were all exhausted, and we weren't going to be staying up too much longer. We got our phones generally once a week for 30 minutes. Other than that, they held them so we could contact our family and tell them we were still alive. Whatever else we wanted to do with our phone for 30 minutes. I think we had 3 days off. I was there the full time, so I was there for about 6 weeks. And I think we had 3 real days off. They called them dark days. Dark day means nothing, no shooting, nothing goes on at all. And I know Thanksgiving was one. We all spent Thanksgiving in base camp. They brought in like those big long folding tables, and they brought in all the food that you would normally have on Thanksgiving, and we kind of had our own family Thanksgiving at base camp, the American Grit Family Thanksgiving. It was a good time. And I think we had 2 other dark days, and those we went on field trips. So the first field trip we went on was at Walmart, and everyone was so excited. And we drove through Washington State for like maybe an hour to get to Walmart, and then we ran around in Walmart for like an hour. And we could buy snacks. I bought some beers. And we could buy books, magazines, clothes. And then the second time we had a dark day was like way late in the season. And we went to the mall. And I think our handler said, come back, meet here in the mall in 2 hours. So everyone just went off on their own direction. And I promptly ran straight out the mall, across the parking lot to a brew pub, and I sat at the bar and I pounded beers for 2 hours. All right, boom, boom, boom. We got paid a weekly salary. Everyone's always asking about that. If you rang out, you were done. You did not go back to base camp. They put you in a van and they brought you to a hotel near the airport and they flew you out the next day. That's for real. All right, let me talk about base camp now. You've seen some of it. They told us they built it in 6 days and they tore it down while we were at Final Circus. I think they leveled it in 1 day. It was one big common room, with a round ceiling or a hexagon ceiling, and 4 team rooms off of that, 4 beds in each team room. Then there was the kitchen / gym, and then there was 2 bathrooms off the kitchen, and then there's the deck, and there was another bathroom off the deck. Full baths, supplied by like probably 100-gallon tank of fresh water. It was like a glorified porta potty. Electricity was with a generator, constantly running outside unless it ran out of diesel fuel, which it did several times, and we had no power. The heat was from a huge propane heater outside. It blew into base camp, only in the common room, so the bedrooms had no heat. If you closed your bedroom door, your bedroom was going to be freezing. I personally liked sleeping in the cold. Some people didn't. Like I know Tony didn't like sleeping in the cold. He would a lot of times sleep on the couch in the common room. The kitchen, we had an oven, a stovetop, and a microwave. The kitchen sink did not have plumbing. Fresh water was pumped out of jugs underneath, and then it drained into other jugs underneath, and we had to constantly dump the wastewater out the back deck and then fill up the jugs in the bathroom to get fresh water to the sink. There's a hot tub on the deck, and I tried to hit that every evening to recover my weary old muscles. We had to clean up after ourselves. I think a maid came in once a week to vacuum and do some of the, I don't know, heavy cleanup. I don't know. They gave us our clothes, color-coded clothes, and they would collect them in a bag once a week and bring them out, have them washed and bring them back. People have asked me if I saw any wild animals. No. But the crew was always on the lookout for bears. Let me see. So we did have the gym in the kitchen area, and some people would train, they'd lift or they'd get on cardio equipment. For me, that was not for me. I was all about recovery. We had no TVs, no computers, no stereo, nothing like that. And we would have a paramedic come in every evening to ask if we had any injuries, cuts, if we needed any basic medication like ibuprofen or Benadryl. As far as food goes, breakfast we had to make. They brought us groceries, like eggs by the dozens, and all your basic breakfast foods, but we had to make our own breakfast. Lunch was generally, like I said, box lunch in the van. Dinner was brought in from the catering tent, and it was those big metal tins, catering tins, and they would bring us one protein, which would generally be like a bland chicken or white fish, and then like steamed broccoli or green beans, and like pounds of like quinoa or brown rice. They thought that we wanted to eat healthy, like tasteless healthy, constantly, right? After about 2 weeks of complaining, they started to bring us like more tasty food, like spaghetti and meatballs, or one time they brought us macaroni and cheese with chicken, and everyone just attacked that thing. Let me see. Alcohol. I wanted beer. I kept asking for beer. I think one time they got me a 12-pack of Rainier, which is the local brew. And I thought that was pretty cool because I was drinking Rainier beer looking at Mount Rainier. Nobody else really was interested in drinking except K-Joy and Yvette were asking for wine. So in the evening, I might enjoy a beer and they would have a glass of wine and we'd sit at the kitchen table and rap. All right, so people want to know if I'm still talking to the cast. Yes, I am. I've talked to almost everyone, including the cadre. Like, we can always get a hold of them. We have all their social media, emails, phone numbers. I have seen Cam because he lives about 30 miles north of me. And I've seen him many times since then. We've had viewing parties together. I saw Tony once. He showed up at a viewing party me and Cam were at. And about 10 of us from the cast are going to do an obstacle race in July in Massachusetts called the Battle Frog. So we're all looking forward to that. They're all going to come and stay for like a long weekend in this area. So that's about it. I hope I've covered your questions. If not, hit me up on social media. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook. I don't really get into Instagram, you've probably noticed. But I am not done with TV. I'm looking for my next challenge. So stay tuned. So just stay tuned to my social media and you will see what the hell Jim is up to next.